Hi guys, today I'm going to do a review of something a little bit different. I got these two kits from Idolm Japan recently, and you'll probably see they're both exactly the same and both rather wacky in terms of their paint schemes. Just a quick introduction to explain why I've got them. First off, they were an absolute steal. They worked out with shipping to be a shade over £18 for the two. So including shipping, that was about £9 each. So that's an absolute steal in anybody's money. Secondly, I've not really made a proper Hasegawa kit before. I've done an egg plane recently, which was good fun. And Hasegawa kits are normally quite expensive, so I thought I'd get one at a cheap price and see what all the fuss was about. But most importantly of all, and why I've got two, is I plan on doing the 1/48th version, and my daughter is going to do the 1/72nd version at the same time. So I'm going to have a quick look, mostly inside the 1/48th kit today, and I'll have a quick look inside the 1/72nd just as a quick comparison to see how the two kits compare. So let's get rid of that one for now, and we'll have a look inside the 1/48th kit. So you get quite a lot of plastic, but it's all in a single bag, so that's not a very good start. Airfix I know have been around for a long time, but it doesn't mean that you have to copy everything that they do. The clear parts are in a separate bag, so that's okay. There is a fold out instruction sheet, and there is a lot of decals in a very large sheet. So let's put everything to one side and make a start with the plastic sprues. So I'm just going to bring you down a little bit closer, and we'll have a look and see what we've got here. So I'm going to get it all out and then just review it as it comes. Now I do know that there is a base F-16 kit in here, and then modifications are also in there to make it a 16C. So as and when we discover the bits that replace that, we'll have a look at them. So first off is the fuselage. So this is a top and bottom fuselage with fine engraved details, minimal rivet detail, but that all looks fairly nice stuff. I believe this is actually quite an old kit. There's a little bit of internal detail there on the air brakes, and also inside the engine nozzle. So that's that one. You'll probably notice it's a bit of a wacky colour as well. There is a reason for that, and I'll come on to that when we get down to looking at the decals. Right, so next sprue has got the cockpit tub. It's got a reasonable amount of raised detail. That should be pick-outable. Pilot figure, which I probably won't use. Right, that's not very good. So this is the air intake, and there's quite a bit of flash on the inside of that, so that's not brilliant. There's also some flash there on the actual main part of the intake. Single part wheels, Right, so to try and continue, so that's the engine burner face, which is nicely detailed. Injection seat, again with a little bit of flash around it. One-piece wheels, which is good. The front landing bay with nasty looking injector pin mark actually in the bay itself, which is brilliant. Inside of the main undercarriage bay covers, injector pins, more little injector pins on detailed parts. Injector pins on the back of the wheels. The landing edge struts look quite nice. Main cockpit instrument panel, fine detail on that. So yeah, I suppose a bit of a mixed bag. Right, okay, so this sprue is definitely some replacement parts, so we don't need to use that horrible intake mouth, but they've actually moulded this one with support legs on the inside instead. Wheel bay covers, again with ejector pins in there, so they're slightly different but still moulded the wrong way. Replacement front wheel landing bay, again injector pin. I really hope this gets covered up because there's some injector pins on the inside of there as well. So they're not brilliant at hiding where they put their pins. Again, nice fine recessed detail on the outside of the main air intake. Right, now we have some replacement wheels, so slightly different wheels, but again with injector pins on the inside of them. Armament sprue there, absolutely identical one there. Now I had heard that Hasegawa can be a bit stingy with their armaments, but that doesn't seem to be the case with this one, because we've got some more here and also drop tanks. Recessed detail on those as well, which is quite finely done. So they're not bad. There's also, for those people who want to use it, a pilot head and oxygen mask coming off, which obviously going to snake down into the cockpit somewhere. That's quite nicely done. But again, I'm not somebody who tends to use the main putting cockpit figures as a rule. So now we've got the wings, and this has got quite nice rivet detail on it. Again, really fine panel lines, so that's quite good. Some underwing store detail, very fine stuff on the inside of that. Front landing wheel cover. Again, there's just little bits of bearing and flash all the way around these parts here. It's just not as crisp as you'd like it to be. Some more wing detail. That's actually the underside of the wing, so those must have been the horizontal stabilisers we were looking at up near the sprue. Again, some more missiles and underwing store holders, and I'm not quite sure what this is, possibly drop tank holder, but that's got quite a hefty sink mark in it there. Right, so to try again, so then the vertical stabiliser, it's actually in two halves with an insert, just fine lines on that, and the underside wings with some quite nice rivet detail on it. Okay, so that's that one. So these look like they are now some replacement bits again. So on 3 little sprues. These are the outside of the rear of the engine, which obviously are going to fit together and replace the original fitting. So it looks quite fiddly. Again, we've got another. This might be actually part of the original one. Again, that's the machine gun vent. The inside of the engine. Some greebles. Not quite sure what they are. And then some replacement parts again for the F-16. Looks like an intake fan, and then the rear engine assembly for these parts to go on. Again, all the way around, it's kind of like not fantastic moulding on the plastic, but I think it's quite an old kit. In fairness, I think it's been around for quite a long time, but at least I didn't pay a lot of money for it and then be really upset. So this is the clear stuff. Now it's slide moulded, so you are going to get a centre line. I do have, I thought I had a scratch, but it's only a hair. So you have got a centre line, and I've seen better, to be honest. That is quite a hefty one, but there's a little bit of distortion. We can live with it, I think. It's not, again, like I say, it's not a new kit, and it's certainly not up to modern standards of moulding, even though it's slide moulded. So now we get on to the instructions. So it's gatefold instructions, and as you can see on here, it's very clear as to which part you're not going to use, which there's quite a few, because it's the C version, not one of the earlier ones. The colour call-outs are in Mr. Hobby and Mr. Hobby Aqueous, and I've already been through and translated those into the English that you're going to need. Start with Cockpit. Put all that together, insert it into the fuselage with a few extra bits. You've got an option of having the air brakes open and closed. The revised construction for the exhaust. Put the wings together, take off the wing missile mounts, and then put them together. Air intake. Need to put weight into the nose. It only reckons on a gram. I think I'd probably do a bit more than that. Undercarriage goes on, and then the canopy goes on, and there's also a ladder if you're on the ground. Then details of the weapons and fuel tank loadouts, if you use them. If you don't, you're going to have to fill the holes where they are supposed to go, because Hasegawa have very kindly taken those out for you. So you have to fill them back in if you're not going to use the nozzles. Right, the colour scheme, which as you can see is a big one. Now, that is why the plastic is that colour. The idea is that you can do a minimal or no painting on the outside of this, and then just use the decal sheets over the top. Now that's going to delight my daughter, because she doesn't like painting. However, there are several halfway houses from no paint to full paint that you can go through, and the decal options do allow for that. So you have got the paint mixes here for both the main colour and the lighter yellow colour, and then you have the white. So you could paint the white, mask off the white, and then paint the main colour, and then put the decals down, and that will work. Because you do have on the decals the options for where there isn't actually any colour, like there for instance. You have got coloured decals you can actually put over the top instead of the colour showing through from underneath. And just to show you what I mean on that, there's the decal sheet. There's a white section that will just show the colour through from underneath, but if you don't use it, there's the colour that you need to do on top of your white paint, and it's the same with the arrows here and here. And you do also have the option of using these as templates for masking and actually painting the whole lot, and then just putting the rest of the decals on that you need. Now, all of these individual stars, small, medium and large, are individual ones. So that is a decaling job and a half, as well as all the stencil data. And you are going to have to be very, very careful, or I'm going to have to be very, very careful in how I sequence it, because on some areas like this, depending on what I use as decals, you're going to have to put them on in the right order. Now, I suspect it tells me here exactly which decals go on where, but because the sheet is largely in Japanese only, that's not an enormous help. So if anybody's got any suggestions on what to do with that, greatly appreciated. Although it is very good at actually translating into English the actual construction steps, but it hasn't followed that through to the decals. So that's going to make life interesting. So what's the state of play with the 1/72 version of it? Right, my daughter's already opened this, and I can inform you that it all came in a single bag again. And basically it's a miniature version of the one that I've already shown you, with some simplifications. The moulding looks a little bit better in terms of its crispness, but they still put injector pin marks in stupid places. You've still got flash on this part, but again, all recessed panel lines. So it's going to need a little bit of model clearing up. Again, on alternative parts for the wheelbase and the intakes. And again, they put the injector pin marks on the detail on the inside. And you've got the weapon sprues, which again are quite nice. And again, all the other parts that you saw on the other thing, on the large one. And again, there's just a hint of flash in one or two places, but it's not as bad as the large kit, I'm pleased to say. So in terms of moulding quality, I would say this one is slightly better. Let's put those to one side. The clear parts haven't been opened, and I'm not going to do that now. These haven't been slide moulded, so you don't have that annoying centre line, and they look quite nice. But I'm not going to get them out and have a really close look at them. So the instructions, as you can imagine, are a simplified version of what I had. So again, a bunch of parts not to use, replacement parts, and then pretty much the same construction sequence, a bit simplified. There's the landing ladder and the armaments. Again, all the holes have been taken out, so if you don't want to use the armament, you're going to have to fill it in. and the same colourful decal scheme. So the decal sheet, correspondingly smaller but still the size of the box, but for some reason they've been extra. Oh, this one as well is pearlised. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up very well, but this is pearlised on the yellow, which makes it particularly attractive. But the yellow stars on here, large and small, have all been grouped. They're not individual. And they are also grouped on the large yellow markings. So I don't think, although you could paint them, you would miss out on putting the yellow stars on here because there's no actual individual ones. It's not obvious that they are substituted with other decals to take their place. But my daughter's not going to be doing that anyway, and this does make life a heck of a lot easier for her. So there we go. I think we are going to have quite a lot of fun together putting these, making these. This one, by the way, is again virtually all in Japanese, and it's the same paint scheme, paint call outs. So all in all, I think that Hasegawa. What do I think out the box? The moulding isn't that impressive, if I'm being brutally honest, by today's standards. But it's an oldish kit, so if you take that into account, how old is it? 20 years possibly? I don't know. I have had a close look through it and I can't find any dates on it that actually, unless it's that one, 1984. I can't read the copyright in terms of Japanese data. There's one there, but is that part of the instruction, the details of the aircraft? I can't tell. So it's certainly an older kit, but it's new enough to have slide moulding. So I don't know. Is it worth the amount of money that you would get charged for a regular kit from Hasegawa? I've heard these kits retail between £40 and £50 in the standard camos. I would say it'd be worth saving your money and buying a newer kit. But that's my opinion. But for what I'm going to be using it for, it's absolutely fine, and I shall enjoy putting it together, and I shall be posting stuff up on the forums fairly soon in terms of how we're progressing with it. So until then guys, I hope you found this interesting, and I'll catch you in the forums.